My brother, I need you to stop the line, eh?
Boy. This is Jaron Nurse, and this is my OMG interview. Well, I must say, since after the album launch, things have really kicked off a bit. Like thus far, the bookings increased, especially those that we would say regionally for like next year, 2018. Looks great, and what will even make it better? I'm going into that new year as a new man. I'll be a married young man, and I'm really looking forward to it. You know, a lot of countries regionally in the Caribbean already called and booked, and I'm just thanking God for that. People often ask, who is Jaron? And I love to put it this way. Jaron is a simple young man, or sometimes I tell him he's a nobody that God changed to be somebody. I came from a tough story, being adopted from a tender age as 2 weeks old, still adopted to this age. And why I was adopted is because my dad was hooked on drugs. I do it say in Trinidad terms, a piper. And because of that, he was abusive to my mom, and she had a sickness called postpartum syndrome, where to this day sometimes she still trip, as we would say, if it's not maintained properly. And because of that, I was adopted by who was supposed to be my godparents, and I still live with them today. And growing up was really tough because, you know, I grew up in a place called Carenage where they were classed as the ghetto, and once in the ghetto and they know your story, they'll rub it in your face, and people was like, boy, your mother mad and your dad is a piper. And because of that, I had a sickness. I hated my real father. I suffered from a sickness. I tell people that it's called unforgiveness. Until, you know, God blessed me with this gift to sing. I always thought I was called to be a footballer because the first time I left the country was for football. I had a great joy and love for football. But then God changed everything. And I say, you know, all credits to Jesus for the person that I've become today. You know, where people say he's the gospel singer, I'm known as a clown as well, because I always doing something foolish. I came from theater as well with people like Auntie Penny, Penelope Spencer, Auntie Deborah Buku Mason, and those people. And yeah, that's who I am today, the gospel singer, the clown, whatever you feel, your friend, whatever you feel to call me. Yeah. I'm 28 years of age.
You still look like a teenager.
Yeah, sometimes I forget, I still struggle. Sometimes I say 27, but I think it's 28 because my birthday was recently, and yeah, 28.
When is your birthday?
September the 10th. Well, I grew up in church because of the lady who adopted me, who I call my mom right now, Terrence Thomas. She brought me up the right way, and I was in the junior choir from a very tender age. But because of my past story and history, and I said I struggled with a sickness called unforgiveness, I was very edgy and I was very disrespectful, angry as well. And I remember one time I was disrespectful to my choir director, and because of that, I had to be removed from the junior choir. And that is when I started the football. But then God placed me right back into the singing thing. And that is where it all started. It started from a very tender age where I say my church played an integral role in the person that I've become today. And yeah, it started from a tender age. I left it for a while, and then God sent me right back to the music, right back to the singing. When I was in the junior choir, that was like age from about 7 to about 10, between 7 to 10 years old. Yeah. I started back the singing a few years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, when I met my neighbor, where we used to just listen to instrumentals and on the computer and just freestyle. And then I just got this great joy again for music. You know, I used to sing with my neighbor. His name was Ratty, and he took a different path in life. He had the gift, but like he don't really love the music. And I continued, I stuck with it, and God just began to open doors to me. Open doors. He blessed me with a song called Caribbean Christian, and those doors opened after I really forgave my dad. You know, as I said, I was suffering from that sickness. I remember one time the Spirit of the Lord guided me to call my dad and forgive him. And from there and then, that's when a lot of doors opened up for me. When he blessed me with a song called Caribbean Christian on the popular can rhythm. That was a carnival rhythm. And it sparked a bit of controversy. People wanted to know why a Christian, why a gospel artist or gospel minister would want to sing on such rhythm. And the controversy worked in my favor, where people wanted to know, well, let me hear this song and let me understand why he would. And that is how God operates, I guess. He used those kind of things to make a way, and that really made a way for me, and I thank God for all the controversy. Well, the album launch, it surprised me. I told people that I did the whole album launch in surprise. I really didn't expect so much people to be there. It was really a blessing and a humbling experience for me. I remember, being the main feature of the night, I wasn't there to the beginning. And my friends that came to pick me up, they was like, boy, if you see how much people up there, you'll be surprised, you might cry. And they was about to show me it on the live because it had a live stream. And I said, no, I don't want to, I don't think I want to see it. I want to be surprised. And upon reaching in line with Movietown, which is in line with the Crawford Stadium, that's where we got favor from the Minister of Sports. So they allowed the cars to park at the Hazy Crawford Stadium. And as I got there and I saw how many cars, I was blown away, totally blown away and confused, because I really didn't expect so much people to be there. But upon being there tonight, it was really a blessing. I thank God that He allowed me to be a blessing. And that spoke volumes. It's because of the ministry God blessed me with. Some says the type of person God has allowed me to be, that people feel, how to put it, connected and I'm still searching for the word, people feel connected and they felt like they had to be there, and it was really a blessing for me, and I thank God for everyone that came there. Yeah. Well, I would say so. It placed me on a new level spiritually as well, because it had me at a point where I have to be careful, because a lot of people are looking at you. If you say doing gospel, you have to do gospel, and with doing gospel, you're expected to live a different way. I'm expected to carry about myself a different type of way, and what also blessed my heart is the children. It had a lot of children and a lot of elders and a lot of youths. So the gift God blessed me with, it's not limited to any age group, and that is something I thank God for. And it's a guiding tool for me to know, hey, Jaron, you have to keep your head on the right track. And it's simple to do. I often tell people, once I put Jesus in the right place, everything will just fall into place. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's difficult. Sometimes it could be challenging. Like, for instance, you're living in a world with a lot of people who are not like you and who don't think like you. So sometimes somebody might do you something wrong, like for instance, a bad drive, and on top of that, they're wrong and they curse you. And the reality of it, if you're not in the right place with God, or in the right place in your mind, you just might retaliate or say something that is equivalent to what they just did, and that is wrong. So you always have to keep in mind that, hey, anything could happen, any wrong, any bad thing could happen, but it's up to you how you choose to deal with it. And that is why you must always let Jesus be your guide, and that's who's my guide. And yeah, one of the biggest lessons I learned in my 28 years is my story, that where God brought me from. People used to say all manner of things, he's a nobody, your daddy is a piper, your mother mad. And I see God turn, I often tell people, He took my misery and He turned it to be my misery. I often tell people that He took my misery and He changed it to be my ministry. So the biggest lesson I learned in all of this is that God could use anybody from all walks of life, no matter what you've been through, no matter who's your parents. Once you're willing and ready, Jesus can use you. One of my worst times in life I can recall is being arrested, and my mom came and see me in handcuffs. And as she broke that door and she saw me there, she just began to cry. That was one of the worst feelings ever, because I disappointed my mom, because who I call my mom is who adopted me, and that is not the way she raised me. But again, because I was struggling with the sickness, that is what had me always reacting and always angry, and anything, the slightest thing will get me aggravated. And it had a day that I didn't live the way I was supposed to be living with a particular officer. I didn't respond the way I was supposed to respond, and that landed me in handcuffs, and I was about to be charged. But again, I always say thank you, Jesus, for His grace and for a praying mother, you know. And that was the worst time in my life, I think. Seeing my mom crying, disappointed, and the police now, because they're watching her son as a criminal right away, they wouldn't treat her with much respect, and I didn't like how they spoke to her on that day. And that was one of the things. One of my happiest moments, I would say, is the album launch. Was one of my happiest moments in life, because again, as I said, it was way beyond my expectations to know that there's so many people, and then some of the people that I saw there and some that I heard was there. It was really a blessing to me, because I got, like for instance, I went to Antigua about a month or so ago, and they were speaking about the concert, and they were like, boy, I was watching the concert, and somebody was there told me that was the most set of goons or gangsters they ever seen a concert. And I say, that's what I think about that. I said, that's a major blessing, because that is the place we would want gangsters and goons to be. So that was a major thing in my life, seeing the kids, the grown-ups, the youths being there. That was a big blessing for me, one of the happiest moments in my life. Well, what I like to talk about, home, I could never forget home, in the place of being, Carenage, the village that helped groom me and guide me. That's where I grew up, and it equipped me to deal with life as well. Some of the songs I write is because of my knowledge I have with the streets or with home. Some of the things for instance, I love doing reggae music and reggae gospel. That's the good thing about gospel music. It's not entitled or limited to any particular genre. So it have rock, soca, reggae, gospel, but one of my main that I love the most is reggae gospel. Mostly so because the youths tend to gravitate quicker to reggae music. And with that being said, the reggae music comes from, as I said, the knowledge I have on the streets. Those people, we don't speak normal, as they would say in the ghetto. We abbreviate things, we rename things. Like, we might say police, but down there they might say 5 or the shiny hats. And all those things equip me with better lyrics to reach other people that would say in those kind of rugged areas. And I really thank God for Carenage. It had a lot of people from Carenage, even in the album launch as well. And that was a big blessing for me, because I know Carenage people, if you're not making sense, they will tell you you're not making sense, we would not support you. But again, it spoke volumes just for them to be there and support it. It shows that I'm doing something good, and I thank God. I say all credits to Jesus for that. Yeah. Alright. One of my OMG moments is a night God allowed me to speak to this person concerning a vehicle, and then a few days after I got a call, the person say, you're willing to purchase the vehicle and thing. God worked it out in a way, and that's something I always say thank you, Jesus, for. Sometimes you doesn't have to have the money, like for instance the album launch, you didn't have the money, but God has always make a way. And I remember my OMG moment is when I went to visit that person. I got the money and I was driving off with the vehicle that I always wanted. A while ago, I always wanted that vehicle, and I thank God that was one of my OMG moments. Driving the vehicle that you saw some years ago and you say, that is what I would like. And yeah, that was an OMG moment, and I must say thank you, Jesus, for that moment. I must say thank you for viewing my OMG interview. I often tell people you could find me anywhere. Just come in Carenage, ask for Jaron, ask for Singer Boy, ask for Frame. On social media, Facebook, normal name Jaron Nurse. On Instagram, Jaron_uncommon. And I think it's Jaron_music as well. I don't have any Twitter because I tell people, you don't really have to follow me. I want you to follow Jesus. And that's just about it. Bye-bye.
Suppose that you're beaten. The people that you're not forgiving.